When NASA scientist Dr. Sarah Chen burst into Elon Musk's office at 2 a.m. with classified telescope data, she carried news that would change everything humanity thought it knew about Earth's place in the universe. "Elon," she whispered, her hands shaking as she opened her laptop. "We found something. Something that's been watching us. And it's coming back." The images on her screen showed a massive object moving through deep space, 2 miles wide, made of materials not found on Earth, and heading directly toward our planet. But this wasn't just another asteroid or comet. This thing was slowing down, changing direction, thinking. "How long do we have?" Musk asked, his voice barely audible as he stared at the impossible data. Dr. Chen's eyes filled with tears. 6 weeks, maybe 7. After that, she couldn't finish the sentence. But the countdown had already begun. 6 weeks until first contact. 6 weeks until humanity discovered they weren't alone. 6 weeks to prepare for visitors who had been here before. Visitors whose return would test whether the human race deserved to survive at all. The point of no return wasn't about time running out. It was about what humanity would choose to become when their true test finally arrived. The wind howled across the Texas desert like a warning. Elon Musk stood alone in his private office at Starbase, staring out at the massive SpaceX rockets that reached toward the black sky. His hands shook as he held his phone, reading the same message over and over again. "The data is confirmed. We need to meet now." Elon's heart pounded. For 3 months he had been getting strange reports from space, reports that NASA wanted to keep secret. Reports that made his stomach twist with fear. A knock at the door made him jump. "Come in," he called, trying to sound calm. Dr. Sarah Chen rushed into the room. Her usually perfect hair was messy. Her face was as white as paper. She carried a laptop that seemed to weigh 1,000 pounds. Sarah had worked on the James Webb Space Telescope. She was one of the smartest people Elon knew, and right now she looked terrified. "Elon," she whispered, looking around to make sure no one else could hear. "We found it. The thing we've been tracking for months." Elon's mouth went dry. "Show me." Sarah opened her laptop with shaking hands. The screen filled with images from deep space. At first, Elon couldn't understand what he was looking at. Then his blood turned cold. Something was moving through space. Something huge. It looked like a dark mountain flying between the stars. But this wasn't a normal rock from space. This thing was changing direction. It was slowing down. It was thinking. "How big is it?" Elon asked, his voice barely a whisper. 2 miles wide, Sarah said. "Made of materials we've never seen before. And Elon, it's sending out signals." Elon stared at the screen. The object looked old, like it had been traveling through space for millions of years. But the way it moved, it reminded him of his own rockets. Like someone was flying it. "What kind of signals?" he asked. Sarah typed on her keyboard. New images appeared. They showed patterns of light coming from the object. The patterns looked almost like language. "We first detected it 6 months ago," Sarah explained. "It was moving slowly, like it was exploring. But 3 days ago, something changed. It started heading straight for Earth." Elon's legs felt weak. He sat down hard in his chair. "How long do we have?" Sarah's eyes filled with tears. 6 weeks, maybe 7. After that. She couldn't finish the sentence. Elon stood up and walked to his window. Outside, his rocket stood ready to carry people to Mars. He had spent years planning to make humans a species that lived on many worlds. But now something was coming to Earth. Something that might change everything. "Who else knows?" he asked. "NASA. The Pentagon. A few scientists around the world. They want to keep it secret until they figure out what it is." Elon turned around. "Secret? We're talking about first contact with aliens, and they want to keep it secret?" "They're scared," Sarah said. "What if it's hostile? What if telling people causes panic? What if we're wrong about what it is?" But Elon wasn't listening anymore. His mind was racing. He thought about all the ancient mysteries on Earth. The pyramids in Egypt, the stone heads on Easter Island, the strange drawings in caves around the world. What if they were all connected? What if someone had visited Earth before? "Sarah," he said slowly, "you mentioned signals. Have you tried responding? She shook her head. NASA won't let us. They want to study it first. Elon walked to his desk and pulled out a special phone. This phone could only call a few people in the world, people who worked on his most secret projects. There's something I haven't told you, he said. 3 years ago, I started working on a project. I called it Project Mirror. Sarah looked confused. Mirror? I've been getting strange reports for years. Radio signals from space that seemed too organized to be natural. Patterns that matched things found in ancient ruins. I thought maybe someone was trying to talk to us. Elon typed something into his computer. The screen showed plans for dozens of huge mirrors, each one shaped perfectly to reflect light in very specific ways. You built mirrors to talk to space? Sarah asked. I built mirrors to answer, Elon said. If someone was trying to reach us using light patterns, I wanted to be ready to respond. But I never thought we'd actually need them. Sarah stared at the plans. Elon, this is incredible. But why didn't you tell NASA? Because I knew they'd want to control it. They'd want to study and debate and form committees. But sometimes you have to act fast. Elon picked up his special phone and dialed a number. After 2 rings, a voice answered. It's time, Elon said into the phone. Project Mirror needs to happen now. He hung up and looked at Sarah. How long did you say we have? 6 weeks. Then we better hurry. Sarah closed her laptop. Elon, what if you're wrong? What if this thing isn't here to talk? Elon walked back to the window. One of his rockets was being prepared for launch. In a few hours, it would carry supplies to the space station. Normal work for a normal day. But this wasn't a normal day anymore. Then we'll find out together, he said. But I'd rather try to communicate than just wait and hope for the best. Sarah stood up to leave. Where are the mirrors now? Elon smiled for the first time that night. But it wasn't a happy smile. It was the smile of someone about to do something very dangerous. That's the beauty of Project Mirror, he said. They're everywhere. Hidden in plain sight. All I have to do is activate them. After Sarah left, Elon stood alone in his office. Outside, the Texas wind continued to howl, but now it sounded different. It sounded like time running out. He picked up his regular phone and dialed another number. This call would change everything. Maria, it's Elon Musk. I need to meet with you tomorrow. There's something the world needs to know. On the other end of the line, Maria Santos, the Reuters space journalist, sounded surprised. Elon, it's midnight. What's wrong? Everything, Elon said. Meet me at Cafe Central in Austin tomorrow at noon. And Maria? Come alone. He hung up and looked back at the computer screen showing the mysterious object. Somewhere out there, something is coming to Earth. Something that had been traveling through space for who knew how long. Something that might hold the answers to humanity's biggest question. Or something that might end humanity forever. Elon opened his desk drawer and pulled out a small device that looked like a TV remote. This device could activate every mirror in Project Mirror with just one button press. His finger hovered over the red button. Not yet, he thought. But soon, very soon, the wind outside grew stronger, rattling the windows like an urgent warning. Time was running out, and Elon Musk was the only person on Earth who might be able to do something about it. He just hoped 6 weeks would be enough. 3 days later, Elon's private jet landed at Houston's airport. His stomach felt sick as he drove through the city toward Johnson Space Center. The meeting he was about to attend could change everything. The NASA building looked normal from the outside. Tourists took pictures near the rockets. Children laughed as they learned about space. But inside, Elon knew some of the most important people in the world were about to discuss humanity's future. Security guards checked Elon's ID 3 times before letting him into the secret meeting room. The room had no windows. The walls were thick enough to stop any sound from getting out. Bill Nelson, NASA's administrator, sat at the head of a long table. His face looked tired, like he hadn't slept in days. Next to him sat Dr. Raj Patel from MIT, one of the world's best scientists who studied objects from space. Elon, Nelson said, standing up to shake hands. Thank you for coming. I know this is difficult. Elon sat down across from them. Difficult? Bill, we're talking about first contact with aliens. This should be the most exciting day in human history. Dr. Patel opened his laptop. That's what we need to discuss. Look at this. The screen showed new pictures of the mysterious object. But now Elon could see details that made his heart race. The surface wasn't smooth like a rock. It had patterns carved into it. Designs that looked almost familiar. "We've been studying it non-stop," Dr. Patel said. "The materials are unlike anything on Earth. They're stronger than diamond, but lighter than aluminum. And the age, Elon, this thing could be millions of years old." Nelson leaned forward. "But here's what worries us most. Show him the signals, Raj." Dr. Patel typed on his keyboard. The speakers filled with a strange sound. It wasn't random noise. It had a pattern, like music or language. But it was unlike any sound Elon had ever heard. "It started transmitting these signals 3 days ago," Dr. Patel explained. "Right after we began our deep space scans with the James Webb Telescope." Elon felt cold. "You mean it noticed us watching?" "That's what we think," Nelson said. "Like something realized we could finally see far enough into space to spot it." Elon stood up and walked around the room. His mind was spinning with possibilities. "Have you tried responding to the signals?" "That's not our decision to make," Nelson said quickly. "The president has put together a special team. Scientists, military experts, diplomats. They need time to figure out the best approach." "Time?" Elon's voice got louder. "Bill, you just told me this thing noticed us watching. What if silence makes it think we're hostile?" Dr. Patel looked uncomfortable. "Elon, there's something else. The object isn't just sending signals into space. It's scanning Earth." New images appeared on the screen. They showed energy beams coming from the object, sweeping across Earth like searchlights. "What is it looking for?" Elon asked. "We don't know," Dr. Patel said. "But the scans are very detailed. It's examining our cities, our technology, our environment. It's like it's studying us." Nelson stood up. "This is why we need to be careful. What if this is some kind of test? What if how we respond determines what happens next?" Elon felt frustrated. These were smart people, but they were thinking like politicians instead of scientists. "Bill, people have a right to know what's happening, and we might need everyone's help to figure this out." "Help?" Nelson shook his head. "Elon, imagine what would happen if we announced this today. Stock markets would crash. People would panic. Some might even try to attack the object. And some might have ideas that could save us all." Elon shot back. Dr. Patel closed his laptop. "The decision has been made. We keep this classified until we understand what we're dealing with. The team is working around the clock." Elon knew he was fighting a losing battle. But he also knew something Nelson and Dr. Patel didn't know. Project Mirror was ready. He didn't need their permission to try communicating. "How many people know about this?" Elon asked. "Maybe 50 worldwide," Nelson said. "All with top security clearance. Everyone has signed agreements to keep this secret." Elon nodded like he agreed. But inside, he was already planning. If the government wouldn't act, he would have to act alone. "Can I get copies of all the data?" he asked. "I might be able to help analyze it." Dr. Patel looked at Nelson, who thought for a moment. "I can give you some of the basic information. But the detailed scans have to stay here." "Of course," Elon said. He watched as Dr. Patel copied files onto a USB drive. But Elon had noticed something during the meeting. When Dr. Patel turned his laptop, Elon could see a send USB drive plugged into the side. A drive that probably contained everything. As they talked about security procedures, Elon slowly moved closer to the laptop. When Dr. Patel looked away, pointed at something on the wall screen, Elon quickly pulled out the second USB drive and slipped it into his pocket. "I should get back to Texas," Elon said, standing up. "Thank you for including me in this." Nelson shook his hand again. "Elon, I know you want to help. But please, give us time to handle this properly. Time is something we might not have much of," Elon said. As he walked toward the door, Dr. Patel called out, "Elon, the object is getting closer every day. At its current speed, it will reach Earth's orbit in exactly 43 days. Elon stopped. 43 days? I thought Sarah said 6 weeks. "It's accelerating," Dr. Patel said quietly. "Every day it moves a little faster." Outside the NASA building, Elon sat in his car and pulled out the stolen USB drive. His hands were shaking as he plugged it into his phone. Files began downloading. Pictures, Data, sound recordings, everything NASA knew about the mysterious object. As he studied the information, one thing became very clear. The object wasn't just randomly flying toward Earth. It was following a very specific path. A path that would bring it to exactly the right position to... Elon was about to start his car when his phone buzzed with a text message from an unknown number. They're not the only ones watching. A friend. Elon looked around the parking lot. Cars drove by normally. People walked in and out of the NASA building. Everything seemed normal. But someone was watching him. Someone who knew about the object. Someone who might have answers. He texted back, "Who is this?" The response came immediately. "Someone who has been waiting for you to ask the right questions. Check your email tonight." Elon stared at his phone. First contact with aliens. Government cover-ups. Secret messages from mysterious strangers. 3 days ago, his biggest worry was getting rockets to Mars on schedule. Now he wasn't sure if humanity would survive long enough to reach Mars at all. He started his car and pulled out of the parking lot. In 43 days, something would reach Earth. Something that had been traveling through space for who knew how long. Something that was studying humanity like scientists study insects. Elon had Project Mirror. He had stolen NASA data. And now he had a mysterious friend who seemed to know more than anyone else. 43 days to save the world. He pressed harder on the gas pedal. There was work to do. Maria Santos checked her watch for the 5th time. Noon at Cafe Central in Austin, Elon had said. But it was already 12:15 and she was starting to wonder if this was some kind of joke. The cafe was busy with lunch customers. Students from the University of Texas typed on laptops. Business people talked on phones. Everything seemed normal. But Maria had learned that, with Elon Musk, normal didn't exist. She had covered space news for Reuters for 8 years. She had interviewed astronauts, scientists, and billionaires. But Elon's midnight phone call had sounded different. Scared. Urgent. Like something terrible was about to happen. At 12:20, she saw him walk through the door. He looked awful. His hair was messy. His clothes were wrinkled. Dark circles under his eyes made him look like he hadn't slept in days. Elon spotted her in the corner booth and walked over quickly. He kept looking around like someone might be following him. "Maria," he said, sitting down across from her. "Thank you for coming." "You look terrible," she said honestly. "What's going on?" Elon ordered coffee from the waitress, then waited until she walked away. When he spoke, his voice was barely a whisper. "Maria, what I'm about to show you will change how you think about our planet's future. But first, I need to know I can trust you." Maria had interviewed Elon before. Usually he was confident, sometimes arrogant. He loved talking about his big plans for Tesla and SpaceX. But today he seemed frightened. "You can trust me," she said. "But Elon, you're scaring me. What's wrong?" Elon pulled out his phone and placed it on the table between them. The screen showed a picture that made Maria's heart stop. It was an image from deep space. A massive object, dark and mysterious, flying between the stars. But this wasn't like any asteroid or comet she had ever seen. This thing looked... This was taken by the James Webb Telescope 3 months ago, Elon said quietly. "It's 2 miles wide, made of materials not found on Earth. And it's heading straight for us." Maria stared at the image. As a space journalist, she had seen thousands of pictures from telescopes, but nothing like this. "Is this real?" she whispered. "Very real. NASA has been tracking it. The Pentagon knows about it. But they want to keep it secret until they figure out what it is." Maria's mind raced with questions. How long until it gets here? 43 days. Maybe less. It's been accelerating. Accelerating? You mean it's not just falling through space? Elon swiped to show her more images. The object in different positions, clearly changing direction and speed. "This thing is being controlled, Maria. Someone or something is flying it toward Earth." Maria felt dizzy. "You're talking about aliens. Real aliens. I'm talking about first contact with an intelligence from another world. And our government wants to handle it behind closed doors." The waitress brought Elon's coffee. He waited until she left before continuing. "There's more," he said. "Show me your phone." Maria handed him her phone. Elon plugged in a small device and transferred files. When he gave it back, her screen was filled with data about the mysterious object. "These are NASA's classified files," Elon said. "Study them. You'll see patterns in the signals it's sending, patterns that match things found in ancient ruins around the world." Maria looked at the signal patterns. They did look familiar, like artwork she had seen in museums. "What are you saying, Elon?" "I'm saying this thing might have been here before. A long time ago. And the ancient civilizations on Earth might have met whoever is flying it." Maria's hands shook as she scrolled through the data. "This is incredible. This is the biggest story in human history. It's also dangerous," Elon said. "NASA wants to study it quietly. They're afraid of causing panic. But I think we need to try communicating with it." "How?" Elon smiled for the first time since arriving. "I've been building something called Project Mirror, arrays of mirrors that can send light signals into space. If this object is trying to communicate using light patterns, I can respond." Maria looked around the cafe. People were eating lunch, checking their phones, living normal lives. None of them knew that something from another world was racing toward Earth. "Why are you telling me this?" she asked. "Because the world has a right to know. And because I might need help getting the truth out there." Maria closed the files on her phone. "What do you want me to do?" "Research the signal patterns. Look for connections to ancient civilizations. And be ready to tell this story when the time comes." "When will that be?" "Soon. I'm going to try communicating with the object. If it responds, everything changes." Maria thought about the implications. "Elon, what if NASA is right to be careful? What if this thing is hostile?" Elon's expression grew serious. "Then we need to know that too. But sitting and waiting while it gets closer doesn't seem like a good plan." As they prepared to leave, Maria noticed something. Two men in dark suits sitting at a table near the window. They weren't eating or drinking. They were just watching. "Elon," she said quietly, "don't look now, but I think we're being followed." Elon glanced toward the window. The men looked away quickly, but not quickly enough. "Government?" Maria asked. "Probably. They're not going to like what I'm planning to do." They stood up to leave. As they walked toward the door, one of the men spoke into a small microphone on his collar. Outside the cafe, Elon shook Maria's hand. "Study those files. Look for patterns. And Maria, be careful who you trust." "What about you? What are you going to do now?" "I'm going to Nevada. Project Mirror is ready. It's time to see if anyone out there wants to talk." Maria watched Elon walk away. Behind her, she could hear the two men leaving the cafe as well. She was now part of something bigger than any story she had ever covered. She pulled out her phone and looked at the classified NASA files again. Somewhere in this data might be the key to understanding humanity's future. As she walked to her car, Maria didn't notice the black sedan that started following her. She was too busy thinking about signal patterns in ancient civilizations and the possibility that humans were not alone in the universe. 43 days until first contact. And now the government was watching everyone who knew the truth. Maria started her car and pulled into traffic. In her rearview mirror, she could see the black sedan following at a safe distance. The biggest story in human history was beginning. And apparently she was now a target because of it. She pressed the accelerator and headed toward the Reuters office. There was research to do, and time was running out. Behind her, the black sedan matched her speed, staying just close enough to keep her in sight. The cover-up was bigger than just keeping the news quiet. They were tracking everyone who knew, and Maria Santos had just become part of the most dangerous story of her life. 2 days later, Elon stood outside Tesla's Gigafactory in Nevada. The massive building stretched across the desert like a metal mountain. Inside, thousands of workers built batteries and electric cars. But today, Elon wasn't here for normal business. He checked his watch. 8 p.m. The factory workers had gone home. Only his most trusted people remained for this secret meeting. Elon walked through the empty factory floors. Machines sat quiet. Assembly lines waited for tomorrow's work. But deep beneath the building, something else was waiting. Something he had been building in complete secrecy for 3 years. At the back of the factory, Elon used a special keycard to open a door marked "Authorized Personnel Only." Behind the door was an elevator that didn't appear on any building plans. The elevator went down 3 floors underground. When the doors opened, Elon stepped into a room that looked like something from a science fiction movie. Drew Baglino, Tesla's senior engineer, was already waiting. Next to him stood Gwynne Shotwell, the president of SpaceX. Both looked confused about why they had been called to a secret meeting. "Elon," Gwynne said, "what is this place? I've never seen this room before." The underground chamber was huge. The ceiling was 30 feet high, and covering every inch of wall space were mirrors. Hundreds of them. Each mirror was perfectly shaped and polished to reflect light in very specific ways. "Welcome to Project Mirror," Elon said. "I've been building this for 3 years." Drew walked closer to examine the mirrors. "These aren't normal mirrors. They're designed to focus light into patterns, very specific patterns," Elon confirmed. "Patterns that match ancient symbols found all over Earth." Gwynne looked around the room. "Elon, this looks expensive and complicated. What exactly are you planning to do with all these mirrors?" Elon walked to a control panel in the center of the room. Dozens of screens showed different views of the mirror arrays. Computer programs tracked the position of every mirror with perfect accuracy. "We're going to communicate," Elon said, "with something that's been trying to reach us for a very long time." He pressed a button. The screens filled with images from space. The mysterious object was closer now, close enough to see details on its surface. "Drew, Gwynne, I need you to see something. But first, you have to promise me this stays secret until I say otherwise." Both engineers nodded. They had worked with Elon long enough to know he didn't ask for promises lightly. Elon showed them the NASA data. He explained about the object heading toward Earth. He told them about the signals it was sending and the government's decision to keep everything classified. "You're talking about aliens," Gwynne said quietly. "I'm talking about intelligence from another world. And I think they've been here before." Drew studied the mirror arrays again. "These patterns you mentioned, where exactly did you find them?" Elon pulled up images on one of the screens. Ancient cave paintings from around the world, stone carvings in Egypt, symbols found in Peru and Easter Island. "The same patterns appear in every ancient civilization on Earth," Elon explained. "Different cultures, different time periods, but identical symbols." Gwynne examined the images. "That's impossible. These civilizations never contacted each other. Unless someone contacted all of them," Elon said. The room went quiet as both engineers thought about the implications. 3 years ago, Elon continued, "Daddy picked up radio signals from deep space. The signals contained these same patterns. That's when I started building Project Mirror." Drew looked at the control panel. "So these mirrors can recreate the patterns using reflected light." "Exactly. If we can make the patterns large enough and bright enough, they'll be visible from space." Gwynne walked around the room, counting the mirrors. "How many do you have?" 247 in this room. Another 150 at secret locations around the world. When they all work together, they can create light patterns visible from millions of miles away. Drew seemed impressed. "The engineering is incredible. But Elon, what makes you think this will work?" "Because whoever sent those radio signals has been waiting for us to respond. And now they're coming back to see if we learned anything." Elon pressed another button. The mirrors began to move, adjusting their angles with tiny electric motors. The room filled with reflected light as the mirrors focused their beams into a complex pattern on the ceiling. "This is the basic pattern found in ancient sites," Elon said. "When we use sunlight and point it towards space, anything out there should be able to see it." Gwynne looked worried. "Elon, what if NASA is right to be careful? What if fine to communicate is dangerous? What if not communicating is more dangerous?" Elon replied, "This object is 41 days away. It's been accelerating, and it's been scanning our planet. Ignoring it won't make it go away." Suddenly, alarms started blaring throughout the underground room. Red lights flashed on the control panel. The security monitors showed vehicles surrounding the gigafactory above. "What's happening?" Drew asked. Elon checked the security cameras. Black SUVs had parked around the building. Men in dark suits were getting out. Some carried what looked like briefcases. Others had equipment for detecting electronic signals. "Government," Elon said grimly. "Someone told them about Project Mirror." Gwynne looked at the monitors. "How did they find out?" Doesn't matter now. They're here to shut us down. More alarms sounded. The security system showed agents entering the main factory building. They had search warrants and electronic detection equipment. Can they find this room? Drew asked. Eventually. But we have some time. This room is shielded and hidden. Elon made a quick decision. He started pressing buttons on the control panel. The mirrors began folding into hidden compartments in the walls. Help me pack the critical components, he told his engineers. We're taking this operation mobile. Mobile? Gwyn asked. I have backup sites, places they don't know about yet. As they worked to pack the most important mirror controls, the security monitors showed agents searching the main factory floor. They had dogs trained to sniff for electronics, and equipment that could detect the energy signatures of hidden rooms. Elon, Drew said, looking at the monitors, they're not just searching, they're taking apart your equipment. This isn't a normal investigation. On the screens, agents were dismantling Tesla equipment and loading it into trucks. This was bigger than just stopping Project Mirror. They were shutting down everything. We need to go, Elon said. Now. He grabbed a backpack filled with the most important components. The main mirror control system, the pattern programming, the coordinates for all the backup sites. Where are we going? Gwyn asked. Somewhere they can't find us. Somewhere we can finish what we started. The alarms got louder. On the security monitors, agents had found the hidden elevator. They'll be here in 5 minutes, Drew warned. Elon led them to another hidden door. Behind it was a tunnel that connected to Tesla's underground delivery system. This tunnel goes for 2 miles, Elon explained as they ran through the narrow passage. It comes out at an old mining facility. Behind them, they could hear the elevator descending. The agents had found the secret room. Elon, Gwyn said, as they ran. What happens if they stop us? What happens if we can't communicate with that object? Elon didn't slow down. Then we'll find out what it wants the hard way. 41 days until the object reached Earth. And now the government was actively hunting the only person trying to make contact. The tunnel seemed to stretch forever, but finally they saw light ahead. An exit that led to freedom and the chance to continue Project Mirror. But as they reached the tunnel exit, Elon's phone buzzed with a text message that made his blood run cold. The object just changed course again. It's accelerating faster. You have less time than you think? Your friend. They climbed out of the tunnel into the Nevada desert. In the distance, helicopter lights were searching the area around the gigafactory. How much less time? Drew asked, reading over Elon's shoulder. Elon looked up at the stars. Somewhere out there, something was racing toward Earth faster than anyone had calculated. I don't know, he said. But we better hurry. The old mining facility looked abandoned from the outside. Rusty equipment sat in piles around broken buildings. But Elon had been preparing for this moment for months. He led Drew and Gwyn to a shed that looked ready to fall down. Inside, hidden under tarps, was a modified Tesla Cybertruck loaded with backup mirror equipment. Get in, Elon said, starting the engine. We need to reach the secondary site before they figure out where we went. As they drove across the desert, Gwyn checked her phone. Elon, this is all over the news. Someone leaked footage of the FBI raid. She showed him her screen. News channels were broadcasting live from the gigafactory. FBI agents loading equipment into trucks. Reporters asking questions that no one would answer. Good, Elon said. Maybe now people will start asking what the government is hiding. Drew looked worried, but they'll also be looking for us harder now. Behind them, helicopter lights swept across the desert. The FBI had found the tunnel exit and was expanding their search. Elon's phone rang. Dr. Sarah Chen's name appeared on the screen. Sarah, what's wrong? Elon answered, putting the call on speaker. Elon, where are you? The FBI came to my house. They're arresting anyone connected to the space object data. Are you safe? For now. But Elon, there's something more important. The object changed course 3 hours ago. It's not just accelerating. It's heading directly for Earth. Drew and Gwyn exchanged worried looks. How directly? Elon asked. Instead of a slow approach, it's coming straight at us. At this new speed, it will reach Earth's orbit in 28 days, not 41. Elon pressed harder on the accelerator. The Cybertruck raced across the desert highway toward his backup location. Sarah, there's something else. How accurate are your tracking calculations? Very accurate. Why? Because someone has been sending me messages. Someone who seems to know more about this object than NASA does. Gwyne looked at Elon's phone. What kind of messages? Elon showed them the text from his mysterious friend. Whoever this is, they knew the object would accelerate before it happened. Suddenly, red and blue lights appeared in the rearview mirror. 3 FBI vehicles were gaining on them fast. They found us, Drew said. Elon took a sharp turn onto a smaller desert road. The Cybertruck's electric motors gave instant power, pulling ahead of the government cars. Elon. Sarah's voice came through the phone. I'm seeing something strange on the telescope feeds. The object isn't alone anymore. What do you mean? There are smaller objects separating from the main one. Like pieces breaking off. The FBI cars were getting closer. One of them tried to ram the Cybertruck from behind. How many pieces? Elon asked, swerving to avoid another impact. 7 so far. And they're all heading in different directions around Earth. Gwyne grabbed the dashboard as Elon took another sharp turn. It's surrounding us, or positioning itself for something, Drew added. The road ahead split into 3 directions. Elon chose the middle path, heading toward mountains in the distance. The FBI cars split up to follow all 3 roads. Sarah, I need you to do something, Elon said. Contact Maria Santos at Reuters. Tell her everything you just told me. If the government catches us, the world still needs to know. Already done. She's broadcasting the story now. Elon's phone buzzed with another text from his mysterious friend. Stop running. You need to see what's really happening. GPS coordinates attached. The coordinates showed a location 20 miles ahead in the mountains. Should we trust it? Gwyne asked, reading the message. Do we have a choice? Elon replied. Behind them, only one FBI car was still following. The other 2 had gotten lost on side roads, but helicopter lights were approaching from the east. As they climbed into the mountains, Elon's phone rang again. This time it was Maria Santos. Elon, I'm broadcasting live. The whole world is watching. Where are you? Running from people who want to stop the truth, Elon said. Maria, what's the public reaction? Mixed. Some people are panicking. Others think it's fake news. But scientists around the world are confirming the story. The object is real. The road got rougher as they climbed higher. The FBI car behind them was struggling with the terrain, falling further back. There's something else, Maria continued. I've been researching those ancient patterns you showed me. I found connections you won't believe. Tell me. The patterns aren't just similar across cultures. They're identical, down to the smallest detail. Like someone gave the same instructions to people all over the world. Drew pointed ahead. Elon, there's a building up there. Through the darkness, they could see lights on a flat area near the mountain peak. It looked like some kind of research facility. And there's more, Maria said. The patterns match radio signals SETI has been receiving for years, signals they thought were just space noise. The GPS coordinates led them to a gate with a guard booth. But the gate was open, and no guards were visible. This feels like a trap, Gwyne said. Or an invitation, Elon replied. They drove through the gate and parked near the building. It looked like an observatory, with a large telescope dome on top. Maria, I have to go, Elon said. Keep broadcasting. Don't let them bury this story. Be careful, Elon. You're the only one trying to make contact. As they got out of the truck, a door opened in the building. A woman stepped out. She was older, with gray hair and kind eyes. She looked like a scientist, not a government agent. Mr. Musk, she called. I've been waiting for you. Who are you? Elon asked, staying near the truck in case they needed to escape quickly. Dr. Elena Vasquez, University of New Mexico. I'm the one who's been sending you messages. Drew and Gwyne moved closer to Elon. You're our mysterious friend? I've been studying the same patterns you found for 15 years, Dr. Vasquez said. I know what that object really is. Behind them, helicopter lights appeared over the mountains. The FBI had found them again. We don't have much time, Dr. Vasquez said. Come inside. There's something you need to see before they get here. Elon looked at the approaching helicopters, then at the mysterious scientist who claimed to have answers. What do you know about the object? He asked. Dr. Vasquez smiled sadly. I know it's not the first time it's come to Earth, and I know why it's returning now. The helicopters were getting closer. In minutes, they would land and surround the building. Elon, Gwen said urgently, decide fast. Elon looked up at the stars. Somewhere out there, something was racing toward Earth. Something that might hold the answers to humanity's biggest questions. Or something that might end everything. Lead the way, he told Dr. Vasquez. As they ran toward the building, the first helicopter touched down behind them. 28 days until the objects reached Earth. And finally, someone who claimed to know what they really wanted. Inside the observatory, Dr. Vasquez led them down a narrow staircase. The building went much deeper than it looked from outside. As they ran down the steps, Elon could hear helicopters landing above them. This way, Dr. Vasquez said, opening a heavy metal door. They won't find us down here. The underground room was filled with ancient artifacts. Stone tablets covered in symbols, cave paintings that looked thousands of years old, and computers showing the same patterns Elon had seen in the NASA data. Dr. Vasquez, Elon said, catching his breath, how did you know to contact me? She walked to a wall covered with photographs. Pictures from Egypt, Peru, Easter Island, and dozens of other places around the world. 15 years ago, I was studying cave paintings in New Mexico. I found symbols that didn't match any known Native American writing. When I researched them, I discovered the same symbols in every ancient civilization on Earth. Drew looked at the photographs. These are identical to the patterns in Project Mirror. Because Mr. Musk found the same thing I did, Dr. Vasquez said. These aren't just random drawings. They're instructions. Gwen examined a stone tablet covered with carved symbols. Instructions for what? For calling them back. Above them, they could hear boots walking across the observatory floor. The FBI was searching the building. Dr. Vasquez led them to a computer terminal. Look at this. The screen showed a timeline, going back thousands of years. Every few centuries, the same symbols appeared in different cultures around the world. Ancient Egypt, 3000 BC. The Mayans, 600 AD. Easter Island, 1200 AD. Every time, people suddenly started carving these symbols. Then they built incredible structures that shouldn't have been possible with their technology. Elon studied the timeline. You think they had help? I think they had teachers. Someone showed them these patterns and told them to preserve them. The footsteps above got louder. Someone was testing the floor, looking for hidden rooms. But here's the important part, Dr. Vasquez continued. The symbols aren't just art, they're a communication system. And all of them point to the same constellation. She showed them a star map. The patterns, when connected, created arrows pointing to a specific area of space. That constellation matches the origin point of the object heading toward us. Drew realized, exactly. Our ancestors weren't primitive. They were students. And now their teachers are coming back to check on us. A loud thud echoed through the ceiling. The agents had found something. Dr. Vasquez quickly gathered important documents. We need to go deeper. She opened another hidden door. Behind it was a tunnel that looked like it had been carved out of solid rock. This tunnel connects to the old silver mines, she explained as they walked through the narrow passage. It goes for miles underground. Elon's phone buzzed. Despite being underground, he somehow still had signal. A text from his mysterious friend, who he now knew was Dr. Vasquez. But the text wasn't from her. She was walking right next to him. Dr. Vasquez, Elon said slowly, if you're here with us, who just sent me this message? She looked at his phone. The message read, you found the right person. But time is shorter than she knows. The objects aren't just returning. They're evacuating. I didn't send that, Dr. Vasquez said, looking confused. Gwen grabbed Elon's arm. Someone else has been watching us this whole time. Who? Drew asked. Before anyone could answer, Elon's phone rang. Dr. Sarah Chen was calling. Elon, where are you? Something incredible is happening. What now? The 7 objects that separated from the main one. They've stopped moving. They're positioned around Earth in a perfect pattern. Dr. Vasquez stopped walking. What kind of pattern? It's hard to describe, but it looks like they're forming a shape, a symbol. Send me a picture, Elon said. Within seconds, his phone showed an image from space. The 7 objects were positioned around Earth exactly like one of the ancient symbols Dr. Vasquez had been studying. "It's the universal symbol," Dr. Vasquez whispered. "The one that appears in every ancient culture." "What does it mean?" Gwen asked. "It means ready to learn." Elon felt chills run down his spine. "They're asking if we're ready." "Ready for what?" "The next lesson." Sarah's voice came through the phone again. "Elon, there's more. Each object is projecting a beam of light toward Earth. The beams are creating patterns on our atmosphere." "The same patterns?" "Yes, but bigger. Visible from anywhere on the planet." Dr. Vasquez led them to a wider section of the tunnel where she had set up a portable workstation. Computers, communication equipment, and more ancient artifacts. "This is my real laboratory," she said. "I've been preparing for this moment for years." She powered up the computers and connected to satellite feeds. The screens showed the light patterns being projected onto Earth's atmosphere from space. "It's beautiful," Drew said. The patterns looked like aurora lights, but perfectly organized. Spirals and geometric shapes danced across the sky above every continent. "It's a greeting," Dr. Vasquez said. "They're saying hello in a language our ancestors understood." Elon looked at Project Mirror's control device in his backpack. "And we need to respond. But how?" "Your mirror array is back at the factory. I have backup sites," Elon said. "Smaller arrays hidden around the world." He pulled out a tablet and connected to his secret network. Dozens of mirror installations came online. Some were hidden on rooftops in major cities. Others were in remote desert locations. "Mr. Musk," Dr. Vasquez said, "you've been planning this for a long time." 3 years. "Ever since I realized someone out there was trying to talk to us." The tunnel echoed with distant sounds. The FBI had found the entrance and was following them underground. "We need to activate the mirrors now," Gwen said, "before they stop us." Elon's fingers moved quickly across the tablet. Mirror arrays around the world began positioning themselves. In Tokyo, London, Cairo, and dozens of other cities, hidden mirrors started reflecting sunlight into the ancient patterns. "It's working," Dr. Vasquez said, watching the satellite feeds. "The response is visible from space." But Elon's tablet started showing red warning messages. FBI teams were finding and shutting down the mirror sites one by one. "They're stopping us," Drew said. "Not all of them," Elon replied. "I have one more site they don't know about." He typed commands into the tablet. A single location came online. A massive mirror array hidden in the Atacama Desert in Chile. "That array is 10 times bigger than the others," Elon explained. "It should be visible from anywhere in the solar system." The Chilean mirrors activated, reflecting sunlight in the most complex pattern yet. A message that had been preserved by ancient civilizations for thousands of years. On the satellite feeds, they could see the response. The 7 objects around Earth began pulsing with their own light patterns. "They're answering," Dr. Vasquez said, tears in her eyes. "But what are they saying?" The answer came from Elon's phone. Another text from the unknown sender. "First contact successful. Prepare for phase 2. The real test begins now." Behind them in the tunnel, flashlight beams appeared. The FBI was getting closer. "Phase 2? Gwen asked. Dr. Vasquez packed her most important documents. "I think we're about to find out." 27 days until the main object reached Earth, and humanity had just passed the first test. The tunnel led them deeper into the old silver mine. Dr. Vasquez knew every turn and passage. Behind them, the FBI flashlights were getting closer. But the mine had dozens of branching paths. "This way," Dr. Vasquez whispered, leading them down a side tunnel that sloped steeply downward. After 20 minutes of walking through the dark passages, they reached a large underground chamber. Dr. Vasquez had turned this into her secret laboratory. Computers lined the walls. Satellite dishes poked up through hidden shafts to the surface above. "Welcome to my real workspace," she said, turning on the lights. Elon looked around in amazement. "How long have you been preparing for this?" "Since I realized the truth about the ancient patterns. I knew someday the teachers would return." Drew examined the computer setup. "This is incredible. You have direct connections to observatories around the world. And to your Project Mirror sites," Dr. Vasquez added. "I've been watching your work for months." Gwen, sat down at one of the computers. The objects are still responding to our signals. Look at this. The screen showed the 7 objects around Earth. Each one was now projecting complex light patterns onto the planet's atmosphere. The patterns were beautiful, like cosmic art painted across the sky. It's not just pretty lights, Dr. Vasquez said. They're scanning us. Scanning for what? Elon asked. To see how much we've learned. How much we've grown since they last visited. Elon's phone rang. It was Dr. Michael Mann, a famous climate scientist he knew from conferences. Elon, I don't know where you are, but you need to see this. The objects in space aren't just sending light, they're measuring our planet. Measuring what? Everything. Air quality, ocean temperature, ice levels, forest health. It's the most detailed environmental scan I've ever seen. Dr. Vasquez nodded. They're checking on their students, seeing if we've taken care of the planet they helped us understand. Wayne looked worried. What if we're failing the test? Through the computer speakers, Dr. Mann's voice continued. The scans are incredibly advanced. They can measure pollution levels down to individual particles. They're looking at every city, every forest, every ocean. Elon felt a cold fear in his stomach. Michael, based on what they're finding, how do you think we're doing? There was a long pause. Not well, Elon, not well at all. Dr. Vasquez pulled up environmental data on her computers. Rising ocean levels, melting ice caps, dying coral reefs, polluted air in major cities. If there are teachers, she said quietly, they're seeing a planet in crisis. Suddenly, all the computers in the chamber started beeping at once. New data was coming in from satellites around the world. What's happening? Drew asked. Dr. Vasquez typed rapidly on her keyboard. The objects are sending new signals, much stronger than before. The main screen filled with an image that made everyone in the room go silent. The 7 objects around Earth had stopped their scanning. Now they were projecting something else onto the clouds above every major city. Are those pictures? Gwen asked. Images, Dr. Vasquez confirmed. But not random ones. The projections showed Earth as it had been millions of years ago. Pristine forests, covering every continent. Crystal clear oceans full of life. Air, so clean you could see for hundreds of miles. They're showing us what our planet used to look like, Elon realized. Then the images changed. Now they showed Earth today. Polluted rivers, dead forests, plastic-filled oceans, smoggy cities. They're disappointed. Dr. Vasquez said sadly. Elon's phone buzzed with another message from the unknown sender. They are leaving. You have hours, not days. Leaving? Elon said out loud. Dr. Vasquez checked her satellite feeds. He's right. The objects are moving away from Earth. On the screens, they could see the 7 objects changing position. Instead of orbiting Earth, they were heading back toward deep space. No, Elon said. We can't let them leave. Not yet. Why are they going? Drew asked. Dr. Vasquez studied the data. I think we failed their test. They came back to see if we had learned to take care of our planet. We haven't. Elon grabbed his tablet and tried to activate more Project Mirror sites, but most of them were offline. The FBI had shut down almost everything. There has to be something we can do, he said desperately. Wait, Gwen said, pointing at one of the screens. Look at that. The images being projected by the departing objects had changed again. Now they showed something new. Advanced technology for cleaning the atmosphere. Machines that could heal damaged forests. Ways to purify the oceans. They're not just leaving, Dr. Vasquez said excitedly. They're showing us solutions. Like a final lesson, Drew added. But even as they watched, the images were fading. The objects were moving too far away to maintain the projections. Elon made a desperate decision. He grabbed the emergency communicator from Dr. Vasquez's equipment and started broadcasting on all frequencies. This is Elon Musk calling any intelligence receiving this message. We understand we've made mistakes, but we want to learn. Please don't leave us. For several minutes, there was only silence. Then Dr. Vasquez's computers detected a response signal from the departing objects. They're sending something back, she said. The message appeared on screen in the ancient symbol language. Dr. Vasquez translated quickly. Warning. Environmental collapse in 8047 Earth days. Intervention possible if species demonstrates readiness. Elon felt his heart racing. They're giving us another chance. But what does demonstrates readiness mean? Gwaine asked. The answer came as another message. Unity. All tribes must work together. No exception. Dr. Vasquez looked at the data. The objects have stopped leaving. They're waiting to see what we do. Elon's phone started ringing. Calls from world leaders, scientists, and reporters. News of the environmental scans and the messages was spreading around the globe. He answered a call from President Biden. Mr. President, you've seen the projections? The whole world has seen them. Elon, what do they want from us? They want us to work together to save our planet. All countries, all people. No exceptions. That's impossible. Do you know how hard it is to get nations to agree on anything? Then we better figure it out fast, Elon said. Because according to them, we have 47 days before environmental collapse. Dr. Vasquez was monitoring global communications. Elon, something's happening. The objects are sending the same message to every capital city on Earth. Around the world, the ancient symbols were appearing in the sky above Washington, Beijing, Moscow, London, every other major city. The message was clear and visible to everyone. They're not just talking to us anymore, Drew realized. They're talking to all of humanity. Elon looked at the countdown on his tablet. Not the countdown to the object's arrival anymore. Now it was counting down to environmental collapse. 47 days to prove humanity could work together. 47 days to save the planet. 47 days to pass the real test. What happens if we fail? Gwaine asked quietly. Dr. Vasquez looked at historical data from her research. Based on other ancient sites I've studied, species that fail this test disappear from the archaeological record. The objects in space had stopped retreating. They were holding position just outside Earth's orbit, waiting, watching, ready to help if humanity proved it deserved safety, or ready to leave forever if they proved they didn't. 26 days until the main object arrived. 47 days until environmental collapse. And now the whole world knew the stakes. Chapter 8. The test. 6 hours after the global message appeared in the skies, Elon's phone hadn't stopped ringing. World leaders, scientists, reporters, and even ordinary people were calling, texting, and emailing. Everyone wanted answers he didn't have. In Dr. Vasquez's underground laboratory, the computers showed news feeds from around the world. Some people were panicking. Others thought the projections were fake. But scientists everywhere were confirming the same thing. The environmental data was real and terrifying. Look at this, Drew said, pointing to one of the screens. Stock markets are crashing everywhere. But look at this, Gwaine added, showing another screen. Clean energy companies are getting massive investments. People are taking this seriously. Dr. Vasquez monitored communications from the objects in space. They're still waiting, still watching, but they haven't sent any new messages. Elon answered another call from President Biden. Mr. President, have you spoken with other world leaders? I've been on the phone for hours. Biden said, everyone's scared. China wants to share climate technology. Russia is offering to cooperate on environmental projects. Countries that have been enemies for decades are suddenly talking about working together. That's good, right? It's unprecedented. But Elon, some nations are refusing to participate. They think this is all fake, designed to control them. Elon felt frustrated. Don't they understand what's at stake? Fear makes people do strange things. Some leaders think showing weakness by cooperating will hurt their power. Dr. Vasquez looked up from her computers. Elon, I'm detecting new activity from the objects. On the main screen, the 7 objects around Earth were moving again. But instead of leaving, they were wishing themselves in a new pattern. What are they doing now? Drew asked. Dr. Vasquez studied the positions. It looks like they're preparing for something. Elon's phone buzzed with a text from the unknown sender. Phase 2 beginning. Global Unity test starts in 24 hours. Prepare. Phase 2? Gwaine said, reading over his shoulder. Before anyone could respond, all the computers in the laboratory started receiving the same signal, a new message from the objects. This time much more detailed. Dr. Vasquez translated the ancient symbols as they appeared. Final test. All Earth tribes must agree cooperation treaty within 30 Earth rotations. 30 days. Drew calculated. A global cooperation treaty, Elon said. For environmental protection, more symbols appeared. Warning: failure results in permanent departure. Success grants access to healing knowledge. Gwaine looked at the environmental data still flowing in. The healing knowledge must be the technology they show us. Ways to clean the atmosphere and oceans. But only if every nation on Earth agrees to work together. Dr. Vasquez added. Elon's phone rang again. This time it was Maria Santos. Elon, where are you? This story is everywhere. Every news channel, every website, every social media platform. The whole world is talking about the alien ultimatum. What's the reaction? Mixed. Some countries are already calling for emergency UN meetings. Others are denying the whole thing. A few are even claiming it's an attack by other nations using advanced technology. Any countries definitely saying no? 3 so far: North Korea, Iran, and Myanmar. They're calling it Western propaganda. Elon felt his heart sink. If even one country refuses, then we all fail, Dr. Vasquez finished. The computers beeped with an incoming news alert. The United Nations had called an emergency session for the next day. Every nation on Earth was invited to discuss the extraterrestrial environmental ultimatum. At least they're taking it seriously, Drew said. But Elon knew how slowly governments moved. 30 days sounded like a lot of time. But getting nearly 200 countries to agree on anything usually took years. His phone rang again. This time the caller ID showed Emmanuel Macron, the president of France. Mr. Musk, Macron said. I've been speaking with world leaders all day. We want to move fast on this cooperation treaty, but we need your help. How can I help? You've been communicating with these beings. Can you ask them for more time? 30 days isn't enough to negotiate a global agreement. Elon looked at Dr. Vasquez's equipment. I can try, but I don't think they're interested in negotiating. Please try. The future of humanity might depend on it. After hanging up, Elon used Dr. Vasquez's communication system to send a message toward the objects in space. Using the ancient symbol patterns, he asked for more time to complete the cooperation treaty. The response came within minutes. New symbols appeared on the screen. Time limit is fixed. Earth species has had sufficient opportunity to demonstrate cooperation. Final chance offered. They're not budging, Dr. Vasquez said. Gwaine was monitoring social media feeds. Elon, look at this. People around the world are organizing their own cooperation efforts. Environmental groups, scientists, even regular citizens are forming international networks. The screens showed protests in major cities. But these weren't angry protests. People were demanding their governments sign the cooperation treaty. Signs read, "Save our planet," and "Unite for Earth," in dozens of languages. It's like the whole world is waking up, Drew said. But other screens showed different protests. In some countries, people were angry about the alien interference. They demanded their leaders resist any outside pressure. We're dividing into 2 camps, Dr. Vasquez observed. Those who want to cooperate and those who want to resist. Elon's phone buzzed with updates from world leaders. Some good news. The European Union had agreed to full cooperation. So had Canada, Australia, and most of South America. Bad news. More countries were refusing. Pakistan and North Korea were now definitely opposed. Iran was wavering. Several African nations couldn't decide. We need a breakthrough, Elon said. Something to convince the holdout countries. What if we offered them something they can't refuse? Gwaine suggested. Like what? Technology. Not just environmental technology. All technology. Free energy, advanced medicine, space travel capabilities. Dr. Vasquez shook her head. That's not our decision to make. The objects have been very specific. Environmental cooperation only. Suddenly, all the screens in the laboratory lit up with breaking news alerts. Something was happening in space. The main object, Dr. Vasquez said, pointing to the largest screen. It's finally here. The massive object that had been traveling toward Earth for months was now visible even in daylight. It positioned itself directly between Earth and the Moon. Impossible to miss. It's huge, Drew whispered. The object was 10 times larger than the 7 smaller ones. And unlike the others, this one was clearly artificial. It had geometric shapes, metallic surfaces, and structures that looked almost like cities. Within hours, the main object began projecting its own message onto Earth's atmosphere. But this message was different. Instead of ancient symbols, it showed images. Images of other planets. Beautiful worlds with clean air and water, advanced cities that worked in harmony with nature, and beings that looked almost human, but more peaceful. Other species that passed the tests, Dr. Vasquez realized. Then the images changed to show dead planets. Worlds covered in pollution, with empty cities and poisoned air, and species that failed, Elon said quietly. The message was clear. Humanity could join the successful species and gain access to incredible technology and knowledge. Or they could join the failed ones and face extinction. 29 days to decide. 29 days to unite every nation on Earth. 29 days to save the world. Elon looked at his phone. Dozens of missed calls from world leaders. The UN emergency session was starting in 12 hours. We better get to New York, he said. If humanity is going to pass this test, we need to be there to help. But as they prepared to leave the underground laboratory, Dr. Vasquez's computers detected something troubling. 3 more countries had just announced they would never sign any cooperation treaty with aliens. The countdown continued, and Earth was running out of willing participants. 6 months later, the world had changed completely. Elon stood on the roof of the United Nations building in New York, looking up at the massive alien object that now dominated the sky. Everyone called it the ship, because it was impossible to ignore. The ship had become part of daily life. Children drew pictures of it in school. News shows gave daily updates about its position, and every person on Earth knew exactly how many days were left. Any word from Myanmar? Gwen asked, joining Elon on the roof. Still refusing, Elon said sadly, along with North Korea and 3 others. In 6 months, incredible things had happened. China and the United States were sharing all their clean energy technology. Former enemy countries were working together on massive environmental projects. Tesla factories in every nation were producing electric vehicles as fast as possible. But it wasn't enough. 5 countries still refused to sign the cooperation treaty, and the aliens had been very clear. All nations must agree, or the deal was off. The Earth Guardian project is making amazing progress, Gwen said, trying to sound hopeful. She was right. The global effort Elon now led had accomplished miracles. Solar panels covered deserts in Africa. Giant wind farms powered cities in Asia. Ocean cleanup projects were removing plastic from the seas. Look at the latest numbers, Elon said, showing her his tablet. Carbon dioxide levels were dropping for the first time in decades. Dead coral reefs were coming back to life. Endangered animals were returning to forests that had been replanted. But we're still heading for environmental collapse. The aliens were right about the timeline. We needed to start this work 50 years ago. Elon's phone buzzed with a call from Dr. Michael Mann, the climate scientist. Elon, the latest climate models are in. Even with all our progress, we're still on track for disaster. How long do we have? The aliens said 847 days until collapse. My models say they were exactly right. Maybe even optimistic. Through the phone, Dr. Mann continued. But here's the thing. If we could get the alien technology they promised, we could reverse all the damage in just 5 years. That was the horrible irony. Humanity was working harder than ever to save the planet. Countries that had been enemies for centuries were now best friends. People around the world were making sacrifices for the environment. But 5 stubborn governments were preventing everyone from getting the help they needed. Any progress with the holdout countries? Dr. Mann asked. Some. Myanmar's military leaders are starting to weaken. Iran is reconsidering. But North Korea? Elon shook his head. 200 days left, and Kim Jong-un still insisted the whole thing was an American trick. Elon walked back into the UN building. The General Assembly was in session, debating the same issue they'd been discussing for months. Today, real-world leaders like Justin Trudeau, Narendra Modi, and Angela Merkel were making final appeals to the resistant nations. Mr. Musk called Greta Thunberg, the environmental activist who now worked with the Earth Guardian project. The youth climate groups want to try a new approach. What do you have in mind? Direct appeals to the people in those countries. Social media campaigns, underground networks, anything to pressure their governments. Elon had been thinking the same thing. It's risky. Those governments don't like outside pressure. More risky than letting our planet die? She had a point. In the assembly hall, he could see the same frustrated faces that had been debating for months. Diplomats who wanted to help but couldn't force sovereign nations to cooperate. Elon's tablet chimed with an urgent message. Dr. Sarah Chen was calling from the space monitoring station. Elon, we have a problem. The ship is doing something new. What kind of something? It's scanning the holdout countries specifically. Very detailed scans of their governments, military bases, and population centers. Elon felt a chill. That doesn't sound good. And there's more. We're detecting 7 smaller objects separating from the main ship. They're heading toward Earth. Through the assembly hall windows, Elon could see people in the streets pointing up at the sky. 7 new objects were descending from the massive ship, each one heading toward a different part of Earth. Where are they going? Elon asked. 1 each to the 5 holdout countries. 1 to the UN building, where you are. And 1 to… I'm not sure. It's heading somewhere in the Pacific Ocean. The assembly hall erupted in nervous chatter as delegates received the same news. President Biden stood up at the podium. Ladies and gentlemen, we appear to have visitors arriving. I suggest we remain calm, and his words were cut off as a shadow fell across the building. Through the massive windows, everyone could see one of the alien objects hovering directly above the UN. It was beautiful and terrifying at the same time. Smooth metallic surfaces reflected the sunlight. The object made no sound, but somehow felt alive. They're here, Gwyn whispered. Elon's phone rang. The caller ID showed a number he'd never seen before. Mr. Musk? The voice was calm, almost human, but with a strange echo. Who is this? My name is Guardian Kale. I represent the beings you have been communicating with. We need to talk. Where are you? Above your building. May we come inside? Elon looked around the assembly hall. 200 world leaders and diplomats were staring at him. They had all heard his side of the conversation. Yes, Elon said. Come inside. Within minutes, a section of the ceiling began to glow. A beam of light appeared and 3 figures denvered through it like they were riding an invisible elevator. They looked almost human. Tall, graceful, with eyes that seemed to hold ancient wisdom. They wore simple clothes that somehow seemed both primitive and incredibly advanced. Guardian Kale stepped forward. People of Earth, we greet you. The assembly hall was completely silent. After months of debating about aliens were actually standing in front of them. We have come to deliver a final message. Guardian Kale continued. Your species has made remarkable progress in the past 200 days. You have shown that cooperation is possible. Elon felt hopeful. Maybe they were going to extend the deadline. However, Guardian Kale said, 5 of your nations continue to refuse participation. This concerns us. We're still trying to convince them, President Biden said, stepping forward. We know, and we appreciate your efforts. But time grows short, and the environmental damage continues. Guardian Kale gestured, and the air in the assembly hall filled with holographic images. Earth as seen from space, showing the progress humanity had made. Cleaner air over major cities, restored forests, healing oceans. This is impressive, Guardian Kale said, but not sufficient. The images changed to show climate projections. Even with all the improvements, Earth was still heading for disaster, which is why we have come to make a final offer, Guardian Kale announced. The room held its breath. We will share our environmental healing technology immediately with any nation that signs the cooperation treaty. Those who refuse will face the consequences of their choice alone. Elon felt his heart pounding. What does that mean? It means the cooperative nations will receive help. The others will not. When environmental collapse arrives, they will experience it fully while their neighbors are protected. The assembly hall erupted in discussion. Some delegates seemed excited about finally getting the alien technology. Others looked worried about the implied threat to non-cooperative countries. Is that fair? Asked the delegate from Germany. Guardian Kale's expression remained calm. Fairness is sharing knowledge with those willing to use it wisely. We cannot force wisdom upon those who reject it. What about the people in those countries? Greta Thunberg called out. The citizens who want to cooperate but can't because of their governments? An excellent question. Guardian Kale replied, which is why we have placed guardians above each resistant nation. We will monitor the situation and protect innocent individuals when the time comes. Elon realized what this meant. The aliens weren't going to force cooperation anymore. They were going to let the stubborn countries face the consequences while protecting everyone else. How long do the holdout nations have to change their minds? Elon asked. Guardian Kale looked directly at him. 10 days. After that, we begin sharing technology with cooperative nations only. 10 days for North Korea, Iran, Myanmar, and the others to decide. 10 days to save their own people. 10 days for humanity to truly pass or fail the test. What happens in 10 days if they still refuse? President Biden asked. Guardian Kale's expression grew sad. Then Earth will have two different futures. One of healing and prosperity for those who chose cooperation, and one of struggle and collapse for those who chose isolation. The countdown had reached its final phase. 10 days to determine which parts of humanity would be saved and which would be left to face environmental disaster alone. As Guardian Kale and the other beings departed through their beam of light, Elon looked around the assembly hall. Some faces showed hope. Others showed fear. In 10 days, they would know if humanity had truly learned to work together, or if pride and stubbornness would doom millions of people to a dying planet. 5 days after Guardian Kale's ultimatum, the world held its breath. Elon stood in the Emergency Command Center set up in the UN building, watching screens that showed the 5 holdout countries. Myanmar had fallen first. 3 days ago, their military leaders finally agreed to sign the cooperation treaty after massive protests by their own people. Iran followed the next day when their scientists proved the environmental data was real. That leaves 3, Gwyn said, updating the status board. North Korea, Venezuela, and Somalia. Somalia wants to sign, Dr. Vasquez reported from her monitoring station. But their government is too weak to enforce the decision. They're in the middle of a civil war. Elon felt frustrated. So they might lose everything because they can't control their own country? Guardian Kale said they would protect innocent people, Drew reminded him. Maybe that includes countries torn apart by war. On the screens, news feeds showed amazing progress in the cooperative nations. The aliens had started sharing their technology 3 days early as a reward for Myanmar and Iran changing their minds. In China, massive atmospheric processors were cleaning the air above Beijing. In Brazil, machines were replanting entire forests in days, instead of decades. In the Arctic, ice restoration devices were refreezing the polar caps. It's incredible, Dr. Sarah Chen said over the video link from NASA. The technology is centuries ahead of anything we imagined. Cancer is being cured. Deserts are becoming farmland. Dead rivers are coming back to life. But the screens also showed the other reality. In North Korea and Venezuela, environmental problems were getting worse. Storms were stronger. Droughts were longer. The alien guardians were protecting people from immediate death. But they weren't stopping the environmental damage. Kim Jong-un is getting desperate, reported Maria Santos, joining them from the Reuters newsroom. His people are seeing what's happening in South Korea. Clean air, perfect weather, abundant food, while they're still struggling with pollution and shortages. What about Venezuela? Elon asked. President Maduro is blaming the environmental problems on American weather weapons. He's convinced this is all a plot to control his country. Elon's phone rang. Guardian Kale's number appeared on the screen. Guardian Kale, what can we do to help the remaining countries? Mr. Musk, we have been monitoring the situations closely. Somalia's government has collapsed entirely, but their people support cooperation. We will begin environmental restoration there immediately. That's wonderful. What about North Korea and Venezuela? Those are more complicated. Both leaders know the truth, but refuse to admit they were wrong. Pride is preventing them from saving their own people. Through the command center windows, Elon could see the massive alien ship still hanging in the sky. Smaller Guardian vessels hovered over every major city, ready to help or protect as needed. Is there anything we can do, any way to convince them? Perhaps, but it would require a gesture of good faith from the global community. What kind of gesture? Offer them something they cannot refuse. Something that proves cooperation benefits everyone, not just the strong. Elon thought about this. What do you suggest? Your species excels at innovation when properly motivated. Show them a solution they cannot achieve alone. After hanging up, Elon called an emergency meeting of the Earth Guardian project leaders. Within an hour, representatives from 90 countries were connected by video link. We need to make an offer North Korea and Venezuela cannot refuse, Elon began. Something that proves cooperation helps everyone. What did you have in mind? Asked President Macron of France. Complete technology sharing. Not just environmental technology. Everything. Medical advances, energy systems, space travel capabilities. Free for any country that joins the cooperation treaty. That's worth trillions of dollars, said Prime Minister Trudeau of Canada. And it's worth saving millions of lives, Greta Thunberg added. We can't put money above survival. The debate continued for hours. Some countries worried about giving away their competitive advantages. Others argued that the alien technology was so advanced that sharing human technology wouldn't matter anymore. Finally, President Biden made the decision that changed everything. The United States will share all its technology immediately with any nation that signs the cooperation treaty, including military technology, if that's what it takes. One by one, other major powers agreed. China, Russia, the European Union. Within 6 hours, the largest technology sharing agreement in human history was ready. Elon personally called the leaders of North Korea and Venezuela. President Maduro, he said to the Venezuelan leader, we're offering you something incredible. Join the cooperation treaty, and Venezuela gets immediate access to technology that will make your country the most advanced in South America. This is a trick, Maduro replied. You want to control us. Look at your neighbor, Colombia. They signed the treaty yesterday. Their cities already have perfect air quality. Their farms are producing twice as much food. Their hospitals are curing diseases that were impossible to treat before. There was a long pause. What technology exactly? Everything. Fusion power plants that provide unlimited clean energy. Medical devices that cure any disease. Agricultural systems that turn deserts into gardens. Transportation that makes your country the hub of South America. And the price. Work with other countries to protect the environment. Share your resources fairly with your people. Stop trying to control everything through fear. The conversation lasted 3 hours. Finally, Maduro agreed to consider the offer. The call to North Korea was harder. Kim Jong-un refused to speak directly to anyone. Instead, his sister Kim Yo-jong took the call. Our great leader will never bow to foreign pressure, she said. This isn't pressure, Elon replied. This is rescue. Your country is suffering while your neighbors prosper. Your people deserve better. You want us to give up our independence. I want you to save your people's lives. Look at South Korea. Look at China. They kept their independence and gained incredible technology. Elon spent 4 hours explaining the benefits. Advanced weapons that would make North Korea truly secure. Technology that would end food shortages forever. Medical advances that would make their leader appear truly great to his people. I will discuss this with our great leader, Kim Yo-jong finally said. 2 days passed. Venezuela announced they would sign the cooperation treaty. Their environmental restoration began immediately. But North Korea remained silent. On the final day of the ultimatum, Elon stood on the UN building roof again. In 18 hours, the deadline would expire. 19 countries had signed the cooperation treaty. One had not. Any word from Pyongyang? Gwenin asked. Nothing. Their phones aren't even working anymore. Dr. Vasquez joined them, carrying her laptop. I'm detecting strange energy readings from North Korea. The Guardian vessel above their country is doing something different. Different how? It's projecting images directly onto their government buildings. Images of Kim Jong-un's own people suffering while the rest of the world prospers. Through her satellite feeds. They could see the projections. North Korean citizens looking through fences at the prosperity in South Korea. Children going hungry while Chinese children across the border enjoyed abundant food. The aliens are making it personal, Drew observed. They're showing him what his pride is costing his people. Elon realized. As the final hours counted down, the world watched North Korea. News channels showed the Guardian vessel hovering over Hwanghae. Social media tracked every rumor from inside the isolated country. With 2 hours left, Elon's phone rang one final time. Mr. Musk? The voice was barely a whisper. Who is this? Kim Yo-jong. We want to sign the treaty, but we need guarantees. What kind of guarantees? That our government will survive, that we won't be invaded or overthrown. Elon looked at Guardian Kale's ship in the sky. I can't promise that. But I can promise that if you save your people, the world will remember you as heroes instead of villains. 1 hour, she said. We need 1 more hour to convince our great leader. Elon called Guardian Kale immediately. Can you extend the deadline by 1 hour? For North Korea? They're trying to do the right thing. Their leader is scared of losing power. Fear of losing power should not override saving lives. But 1 hour, no more. As the original deadline passed, the world held its breath. News anchors counted down the extra hour. Protesters gathered in every major city, holding signs demanding North Korea join the human family. With 15 minutes left in the extension, a fax arrived at the UN building. The Democratic People's Republic of Korea agreed to sign the cooperation treaty. 19 countries, every nation on Earth. Humanity had passed the test. Within minutes, the Guardian vessel over North Korea began environmental restoration. Clean air flowed across the border from China. Healing technology activated in their hospitals. Food production systems came online in their farms. And around the world, billions of people celebrated the moment when humanity finally learned to work together. The test was over. The real work was just beginning. 1 year later, Earth looked like a completely different planet. Elon flew over what used to be the Sahara Desert in his new solar-powered aircraft. Below him, green forests stretched to the horizon where sand dunes once stood. It's incredible, Gwen said from the co-pilot seat. I can't believe this was all desert just 12 months ago. The alien technology had worked faster than anyone imagined. Atmospheric processors cleaned the air in weeks. Ocean restoration devices brought coral reefs back to life in months. Desert restoration systems turned wastelands into gardens. Guardian Kale wants to meet us in Cairo today, Elon said, checking his messages. He says it's time for the next phase. Next phase? I think our test isn't over yet. As they landed at the new Cairo International Spaceport, built with alien technology in just 6 months, Elon felt nervous. Humanity had passed the cooperation test. The planet was healing faster than anyone thought possible. So why did Guardian Kale sound worried in his messages? Dr. Vasquez met them at the spaceport. Elon, Guardian Kale has been meeting with world leaders all week. Something big is happening. Good big or bad big? I'm not sure. But he's been asking strange questions about human values and what we would do to help others. They drove through Cairo's clean streets to the meeting location. The city was unrecognizable. Crystal clear air, green parks everywhere, and buildings that seemed to grow from the ground like plants. Guardian Kale waited for them in a conference room that overlooked the Nile River. But he wasn't alone. 3 other beings stood with him, unlike any they had seen before. Elon, Gwen, Dr. Vasquez. Guardian Kale said, "Please meet the Council of Worlds." The new beings were taller than Guardian Kale, with skin that seemed to shimmer like starlight. Their eyes held an ancient wisdom that made Elon feel very young. People of Earth, the tallest being said, I am Prime Council Zara. We have come to deliver important news. Elon sat down, suddenly feeling like he was back in school being called to the principal's office. Your species has passed the unity test admirably. Prime Council Zara continued. Earth is healing, your people work together. You share resources and knowledge freely. That sounds good, Gwen said carefully. It is very good. So good, in fact, that you are ready for the next level of testing. Dr. Vasquez leaned forward. What kind of testing? The compassion test. Guardian Kale explained. Every species that passes unity must prove they care about others beyond their own world. Prime Council Zara gestured, and the air filled with holographic images. A dying planet orbited a red star. The world was covered in storms and floods. Cities were crumbling. Billions of beings struggled to survive. This is Kepler 442b, Prime Council Zara said. Home to 12 billion intelligent beings. Their star is dying and their planet will be uninhabitable within 2 Earth years. Elon studied the images. The beings on the dying planet looked almost human but with blue-tinted skin and larger eyes. They are called the Kef, Guardian Kale added. They are peaceful, intelligent, and completely helpless to save themselves. What does this have to do with us? Green asked. Everything. Prime Council Zara replied. Your final test is to choose between saving Earth or saving Kepler-4. The room went silent. Elon felt his stomach drop. What do you mean? Choose. The technology to fully heal Earth requires enormous energy. Prime Council Zara explained. The same energy needed to relocate the Kef to a safe world. You can save your planet completely, or you can save theirs. But not both. Dr. Vasquez stood up. That's not fair. We just saved our own planet. Why should we sacrifice it for strangers? Because, Prime Council Zara said gently, true wisdom means caring for others as much as yourself. Guardian Kale activated more holograms. These showed Earth's current state. Beautiful, but not perfect. Some environmental damage remained. Some species were still endangered. Full healing would make Earth a paradise, with complete planetary restoration. Guardian Kale explained, Earth could support 20 billion people in perfect harmony. No hunger, no disease, no environmental problems ever again. And if we choose to help the Kef? Elon asked. Then Earth remains as it is now. Healed enough to survive, but not perfect. And 12 billion beings on another world get to live. The images showed what helping the Kef would mean. Moving an entire civilization to a new planet. Providing them with technology to build a new society. Essentially adopting them as Earth's galactic neighbors. How long do we have to decide? Gwen asked. 7 days. Prime Council Zara said. After that, the energy window closes, and the choice is made by default. Default. If you do nothing, Earth gets complete healing. And the Kef die. Elon felt sick. You're asking us to choose between perfection for ourselves and survival for strangers. We are asking you to show what kind of species you truly are. Prime Council Zara corrected. Intelligent species face this choice eventually. Those who choose self-preservation become isolated and eventually stagnate. Those who choose compassion join the Galactic Alliance. What's the Galactic Alliance? Dr. Vasquez asked. Guardian Kale smiled. A community of over 3,000 worlds that work together, share knowledge, and help each other grow. The greatest achievement any species can attain. And if we choose to help the Kef, then both Earth and the Kef become the newest members of the Alliance. You gain access to the combined knowledge of 3,000 civilizations. Prime Council Zara stood. But understand the cost. Earth will never be the paradise it could become. You will have saved strangers at the expense of your own perfection. After the council left, Elon, Gwyn, and Dr. Vasquez sat in stunned silence. This is impossible, Green finally said. How do we tell 7 billion people they have to choose between saving their own world and saving aliens they've never met? We tell them the truth, Elon said, and we let them decide what kind of species we want to be. Dr. Vasquez looked at the images still floating in the air. You know what the right choice is, don't you? I know what my choice would be, Elon said. But this isn't my decision alone. What would you choose? Elon looked out at the restored Nile River, flowing clean and beautiful through a city that had been saved by alien technology. I'd choose to save the Kef, even if it means Earth never becomes perfect. Because it means Earth becomes something better than perfect. It becomes compassionate. But as they prepared to return to the UN to present this choice to the world, Elon wondered if 7 billion people would agree with him. 7 days to make the most important decision in human history. 7 days to choose between perfection and compassion. 7 days to determine what kind of species humanity really was. The images of the dying planet haunted him as they flew back to New York. 12 billion beings whose fate now rested in humanity's hands. Would Earth choose to be a paradise or a hero? Soon, they would find out. 3 days into the 7-day deadline, the world was splitting apart again. Elon stood in the UN General Assembly watching the most heated debate in human history. We saved our own planet, shouted the delegate from Brazil. Why should we sacrifice our future for aliens we've never met? Because it's the right thing to do, replied the representative from Kenya. These beings need our help. President Biden stood at the podium, looking exhausted. The vote is currently 97 countries for helping the Kef, 98 against, or deadlocked. Elon felt sick. After everything humanity had accomplished together, they were dividing again. Social media showed the same split. Protests in every major city. Families arguing, friends choosing sides. Any word from the Council of Worlds? Gwyn asked, joining him in the observer section. Nothing. Guardian Kale says they're waiting for our decision. Dr. Sarah Chen called from the space monitoring station. Elon, something's happening. Deep space telescopes are detecting massive objects heading toward the Kef homeworld. What kind of objects? Ships. Hundreds of them. They're not from Earth or the Council worlds. Elon felt a chill. Show me. His tablet filled with telescope images. Dark, angular ships, unlike anything they'd seen from the friendly aliens. These vessels looked military, dangerous. Dr. Chen, how long until those ships reach Kepler? At their current speed, 4 days. Right when our deadline expires. Elon called Guardian Kale immediately. Guardian, we're seeing unknown ships heading toward the Kef homeworld. What's going on? Mr. Musk, there is something we haven't told you about the compassion test. What? The Kef are not just any dying civilization. They are the original species that created us. Elon's world spun. To created you? Long ago, the Kef were the first species to achieve galactic travel. They found young civilizations throughout the galaxy and helped them grow. They created the Guardian program to continue their work. So you're all artificial. We are their children, created to help other species the way they helped us. But the Kef grew old and peaceful. When their star began dying, they chose to accept their fate rather than ask for help. But someone else found out about them. The Harvesters. They destroy dying civilizations to steal their technology and knowledge. They've been hunting the Kef for decades. The images on Elon's tablet showed the dark ships getting closer to Kepler 42b. If those ships reached the dying planet before humanity made their choice. Guardian Kale, what happens if we choose to save ourselves and the Harvesters destroy the Kef? Then the galaxy loses its wisest species, and the Harvesters become strong enough to threaten every world in the Alliance, including Earth. Eventually, yes. Elon ran back into the General Assembly. The debate was still raging, but now he had information that changed everything. Stop, he shouted from the observer's gallery. Everyone needs to hear this. Security guards moved toward him, but President Biden held up his hand. Let him speak. The dying aliens aren't just any species, Elon announced. They're the ones who created the Guardians. They're the original teachers who helped civilizations across the galaxy. The assembly hall went quiet, and there are hostile ships heading toward their planet right now. If we don't save the Kef, they'll be destroyed by enemies who want to steal their knowledge. Dr. Vasquez joined him at the microphone. I've been studying the ancient patterns for 15 years. The Kef symbols appear in every early civilization on Earth. They visited us thousands of years ago and helped us develop. So this isn't about choosing between strangers and ourselves, Elon continued. This is about saving the species that gave us civilization itself. The delegate from Egypt stood up. Are you saying the beings who built the pyramids were from this dying planet? I'm saying the beings who taught our ancestors to build the pyramids need our help now. Murmurs filled the assembly hall. The vote tally began changing as delegates reconsidered their positions. But not everyone was convinced. The delegate from Russia spoke up. Even if this is true, why should we sacrifice Earth's perfection for the past? We need to think about our own future. Because, said a new voice from the back of the hall, your future depends on theirs. Everyone turned. Prime Counsel Zara had appeared, along with Guardian Kale and 3 other council members. Prime Counsel, President Biden said, we weren't expecting you. The situation has changed, Prime Counsel Zara announced. The Harvesters are 4 days from reaching Kepler 442b. If they succeed in destroying the Kef, they will gain access to technology that could threaten every world in the galaxy, including Earth? Asked the delegate from China. Especially Earth, you are young and wealthy in resources. You would be their next target. Guardian Kale stepped forward. There is something else you should know. The choice was never really between Earth's perfection and the Kef's survival. What do you mean, Elon asked? If humanity chooses compassion over self-interest, both worlds can be saved. The energy to rescue the Kef and complete Earth's healing can be provided by the Galactic Alliance. The assembly hall erupted. Then why didn't you tell us that from the beginning? Demanded the delegate from France. Because, Prime Counsel Zara said, the test was never about the outcome. It was about the choice itself. We needed to know what humanity would choose when they believed they had to sacrifice for others. And if we had chosen to save only ourselves, then you would have received exactly what you chose. A perfect but isolated world. No membership in the alliance. No protection when the harvesters eventually came for you. Dr. Vasquez spoke up. But if we choose to help the Kef, even believing it costs us perfection, then you prove you understand the most important truth in the galaxy, Prime Counsel Zara said. That true strength comes from helping others, not just helping yourself. The voting resumed with new urgency. Country after country changed their position. The final tally, 107 countries voted to save the Kef. Only 8 voted against. The motion passes, President Biden announced. Humanity chooses compassion. Prime Counsel Zara smiled. The first time Elon had seen such emotion from the Council. Then welcome the Galactic Alliance. People of Earth. Within hours, massive alliance ships appeared around Earth. Not weapons, but construction vessels. They began installing technology that would complete Earth's healing while simultaneously preparing rescue equipment for the Kef. Both worlds will be saved, Guardian Kale told Elon as they watched the work begin. The Kef will be relocated to a beautiful planet near Earth, and Earth will become the paradise it was meant to be. What about the harvesters? They will find an empty planet when they arrive, and they will face the combined fleet of the Alliance if they try to follow the Kef. Elon looked up at the Alliance ships working in Earth's orbit. Humanity had passed its final test not through superior technology or military strength, but through choosing to care about others. Guardian Kale, what's the next step for humanity? Now you become teachers yourselves. There are young civilizations out there who need guidance, just like you once did. Will we be ready for that? You proved you're ready when you chose to save the Kef instead of perfecting yourselves. True wisdom isn't about being perfect. It's about being willing to sacrifice for others. As the Alliance ships continued their work, Elon realized the truth about the point of no return he had feared so long ago. It was never about time running out for Earth. It was about humanity reaching the point where they had to choose what kind of species they wanted to become. They had chosen compassion over perfection. They had chosen to be heroes instead of just survivors. And now, as the newest members of a galaxy-spanning community, they would help other worlds make the same choice. The point of no return had been passed, and humanity had chosen wisely. 2 weeks after humanity joined the Galactic Alliance, Elon stood on the observation deck of the new Earth station orbiting above the planet. Through the massive windows, he could see both Earth and the Kef refugee ships arriving from their dying world. 12 billion beings, Gwyn said, joining him at the window. That's almost twice Earth's population, and they're all counting on us to help them start over, Elon replied. The Kef ships were beautiful, crystalline structures that caught and reflected starlight like giant prisms. Inside each ship were millions of blue-skinned beings who had lost everything except their lives. Dr. Vasquez hurried onto the observation deck carrying her tablet. Elon, we have a problem. The Kef aren't responding to our welcome messages. What do you mean? They're just sitting there. Their ships arrived 3 days ago, but they won't communicate with us or the Alliance. Guardian Kale materialized beside them using Alliance transport technology. We need to talk, he said, looking worried. What's wrong? Elon asked. The Kef are refusing to accept our help. They say they don't deserve to be saved. Why? Guilt. They feel responsible for every civilization the harvesters have destroyed, while hunting them. They think accepting rescue would be selfish. Elon stared at the Kef ships floating silently in space. So they survived the destruction of their world just to die from shame? Unless someone can convince them they're worth saving. Dr. Vasquez looked at the historical data on her tablet. The Kef have been teachers for millions of years. They've helped thousands of species develop. How can they think they're not worth saving? Because, Guardian Kale explained, they see all the civilizations that died because the harvesters were hunting them. They think those deaths are their fault. That's ridiculous, Gwyn said. The harvesters are responsible for their own evil actions. Try telling that to a species that has spent their entire existence helping others. They can't forgive themselves for the harm that followed them. Elon made a decision. I need to talk to them. They won't respond to communication requests. Then I'll go to them. Guardian Kale looked surprised. That could be dangerous. The Kef are not stable right now. Their grief has made some of them unpredictable. If they won't listen to words, maybe they'll listen to actions. Within an hour, Elon was aboard a small Alliance transport ship heading toward the largest Kef vessel. Gwyn and Dr. Vasquez insisted on coming with him. This is insane, Gwyn said as they approached the massive crystalline ship. We don't even know if they'll let us aboard. They will, Dr. Vasquez said confidently. The Kef patterns I've studied show they're incapable of refusing help to others, even when they won't help themselves. She was right. The Kef ship opened a docking bay for them. As they walked through corridors made of living crystal, Elon felt overwhelmed by the beauty and sadness around him. The ship was dying inside. Plants that should have been vibrant were wilting. Water features that should have sparkled were running dry. The Kef were letting their own environment collapse out of despair. They found the Kef Leadership Council in a vast chamber at the ship's heart. 12 ancient beings sat in a circle, their blue skin pale with grief. When they looked up at the humans, their large eyes showed profound sadness. "Why have you come?" asked the eldest Kef, whose name translated to first teacher. "To save you," Elon said simply. "We cannot be saved. Too many have died because of us." Dr. Vasquez stepped forward. "First teacher, I've studied your people's history for 15 years. You've helped thousands of civilizations develop and thrive. And because the harvesters hunted us, hundreds of those civilizations were destroyed. By the harvesters, not by you. The result is the same." Elon sat down on the crystal floor, making himself equal to the grieving beings. "First teacher, can I tell you about Earth? If you wish. 100 years ago, humans were destroying our planet. Wars, pollution, hatred, we were heading for extinction. We know this from your records. But you helped us. Your people visited Earth thousands of years ago and left us the patterns, the knowledge we needed to eventually grow wise. Ancient history. No," Elon said firmly. "Current reality. Because of what you taught our ancestors, we learned to work together. We saved our planet. We chose compassion over selfishness." Gwen joined the conversation. "And now we're here, trying to save you, because you taught us that helping others is what makes life meaningful. If you die from guilt," Dr. Vasquez added, "then all the civilizations you helped will lose their teachers forever. The harvesters win not by destroying you, but by making you destroy yourselves." First teacher's large eyes filled with tears. "But the guilt becomes strength when you use it to help others," Elon said. "You feel bad about the civilizations that died? Then live to help the ones that are still growing. You think we should continue teaching? I think the galaxy needs its wisest species now more than ever. The Alliance has 3,000 worlds. But how many need guidance? How many young civilizations are just beginning to learn cooperation?" For the first time since they arrived, first teacher sat up straighter. "Many, thousand, then live. Not for yourselves, but for them." The Kef Council members looked at each other. Slowly, hope began to replace despair in their expressions. "You would work with us?" asked another council member. "Even though we failed to protect so many?" "You didn't fail," Gwyn said. "You succeeded in creating a galaxy full of civilizations that learned to help each other, including us." First teacher stood up, and the crystal chamber began to brighten. The dying plants started showing new growth. The water features sparkled back to life. We will accept your help," first teacher said. "And we will continue our work as teachers. Together," Elon said, "humans and Kef, learning from each other." As they returned to Earth Station, Guardian Kale was waiting with news. "The Kef ships are coming back to life. They're accepting the new planet we prepared for them. And there's more," he added. "The Alliance Council has a proposal. They want Earth and the new Kef world to become the Alliance's primary teaching centers." "Teaching what?" Dr. Vasquez asked. "How to choose compassion over fear. How to work together instead of alone. How to become wise instead of just intelligent." Elon looked out at the stars, where thousands of civilizations waited to learn the lessons humanity and the Kef could teach together. "What's the name of the new Kef homeworld?" he asked. "They want to call it Hope," Guardian Kale said. "Because that's what you gave them. As the Kef ships began their journey to their new home, Elon realized that the real point of no return had never been about time running out. It had been about the moment when humanity chose to become more than just survivors. They had chosen to become teachers, helpers, and friends to beings across the galaxy. The universe was vast and full of young civilizations who needed guidance, and now Earth and Hope would provide it. Together, 5 years after the Kef settled on Hope, Elon stood in the council chamber of New Geneva, the joint Earth-Kef city that had become the Alliance's center for teaching young civilizations. Through the crystal walls, he could see students from 40 different worlds learning together. The Andromedans are making excellent progress, Dr. Vasquez reported, showing him data from their latest student civilization. They've achieved global cooperation in just 6 months. Much faster than we did, Gwyn observed from her position as Director of Human Kef Educational Exchange. They had good teachers, said First Teacher, who had become Elon's closest friend among the Kef. His blue skin now glowed with renewed purpose. A soft chime indicated an incoming priority message. Guardian Kale's hologram appeared in the chamber. Elon, First Teacher, you need to see this. Long-range sensors have detected something approaching our solar system. The harvesters? Elon asked, his blood running cold. No. Something much larger and much older. The hologram changed to show deep space images. A massive structure was moving toward Earth. Not a ship, but what looked like an entire artificial world. It was geometric, ancient, and larger than Earth's moon. How long until it arrives? First Teacher asked. 3 days, and it's sending a message. The message appeared in the ancient symbol language that Dr. Vasquez could now read fluently. As she translated, her face went pale. It says, "The eldest return to judge the teachers. Prepare for final evaluation." The eldest? Elon said. Who are the eldest? First Teacher's large eyes showed fear. Legends among my people speak of the eldest. Beings so ancient, they witnessed the birth of the first civilizations. They are said to judge whether teacher species deserve to continue their work. And if they decide we don't deserve it, then all teacher species are removed from the galaxy. Dr. Vasquez looked at more data flowing in. The structure is broadcasting on all frequencies. Every civilization in the galaxy is receiving the same message. Within hours, emergency sessions were called across the Alliance. Representatives from 3,000 worlds gathered virtually to discuss the arrival of the eldest. No one has seen them for millions of years, reported the delegate from Centauri Prime. Most species thought they were myths. What exactly do they judge? Asked the representative from the vegan system. Prime Council Zara, now an old friend of humanity, answered gravely. They evaluate whether teacher species have remained true to their purpose, whether they help civilizations grow or control them. And if they decide against us, every teacher species in the galaxy faces extinction, including humans and Kef. Elon felt the weight of responsibility. Humanity had only been teachers for 5 years, but their actions might determine the fate of all teacher species. What criteria do they use? He asked. No one knows. First Teacher replied. But legends say they test both wisdom and humility. The next 3 days passed in tense preparation. Every teacher species in the galaxy worked frantically to document their good works. Evidence of civilizations helped, species saved, conflicts resolved. But Elon had a troubling thought. What if documentation isn't what they're looking for? What do you mean? Gwyn asked. Think about our own tests. The aliens never cared about our achievements. They cared about our choices when those choices were difficult. Dr. Vasquez nodded slowly. The eldest might test us the same way. On the day of arrival, the massive structure positioned itself between Earth and Hope. It was breathtakingly beautiful. Crystalline spires that seemed to hold captured starlight, flowing curves that defied physics, and an aura of ancient wisdom that made everyone who looked at it feel very young. A single being descended from the structure to the council chamber. It was unlike anything they had seen. Tall as a Kef, but with skin that seemed to contain galaxies, eyes that held the memories of eons, and a presence that felt older than stars. I am eldest Eon, the being said in a voice that resonated in their minds rather than their ears. I have come to evaluate the Teacher Alliance. Eldest Eon. Prime Council Zara said respectfully, we have prepared extensive documentation of our work helping young civilizations. Documentation is unnecessary. I have observed your actions for centuries. Elon stepped forward. Then you know we've helped thousands of species develop and grow. I know you have interfered with thousands of species' natural development. The chamber went silent. Interfered? First teacher asked. Every species must find its own path to wisdom. By providing guidance, you may have prevented them from discovering their true potential. Dr. Vasquez looked stricken. Are you saying helping others is wrong? I am saying that true help comes from allowing beings to grow at their own pace, in their own way. Eldest Eon gestured, and the chamber filled with images of civilizations the Alliance had helped. The Andromedans achieved cooperation in 6 months with your guidance. But would they have developed stronger, more lasting cooperation if they had struggled for centuries to achieve it themselves? Elon felt his world crumbling. So we should have let them suffer? You should have let them learn. But the harvesters were destroying civilizations, and that too was part of the galaxy's natural development. Civilizations that could not defend themselves or form alliances for protection were not yet ready to survive. First teacher's voice shook. You're saying we've been wrong to help for millions of years? I am saying you have been children playing with forces beyond your understanding. Eldest Eon raised one hand, and Elon felt a crushing weight of judgment. Around the galaxy, he knew, other eldest were conducting similar evaluations of every teacher species. However, eldest Eon continued, there is one species that shows promise of true understanding. Which species? Prime Council Zara asked. Humanity. Elon was shocked. But we've only been teachers for 5 years. And in those 5 years, you have done something no other teacher species has accomplished.
What?
You learned from your students. Eldest Eon showed them images of the human-Kef partnership. When the Kef lost hope, you did not lecture them about wisdom. You shared your own struggles. When young civilizations asked for technology, you did not give them solutions. You taught them to find their own answers. I don't understand, Gwaine said. True teaching is not giving answers, it is asking better questions. Humanity discovered this naturally because you are still learning yourselves. The images changed to show humanity's recent work with developing civilizations. Instead of providing solutions, human teachers had been encouraging species to experiment, fail, and discover their own paths. The Andromedan's 6-month cooperation is fragile because it was given to them. Eldest Aeon explained. But the Regelians, who humanity encouraged to find their own way, developed cooperation over 3 years. Their unity will last millennia. So what is your judgment? First teacher asked. Most teacher species have forgotten they are students. They have become arrogant, believing they know what is best for others. They will be relocated to worlds where they can rediscover humility. Elon's heart sank. And humanity will become the new primary teachers of the galaxy. You will guide other teacher species in learning how to truly help without controlling. What about the Kef? Eldest Eon looked at first teacher with something like kindness. The Kef who choose to continue learning alongside humanity may remain. Those who wish to rediscover their own path will be honored for their service and given peaceful worlds to explore. First teacher stood up straighter. I choose to learn. The humans have taught me that being wrong is not failure, it is opportunity. Wise words from an ancient species. Eldest Eon said approvingly. As the judgment concluded, Elon realized the true meaning of everything that had happened. The point of no return had never been about Earth's survival or environmental collapse or even joining the Galactic Alliance. It had been about humanity learning the most important lesson in the universe, that the greatest wisdom comes from knowing you don't have all the answers. Eldest Eon, Elon said, what's our first assignment as primary teachers? Teach the other teacher species what you have learned, that helping others means empowering them to help themselves, that true strength comes from admitting weakness, that the best teachers are those who never stop being students. As eldest Eon departed, Elon looked out at the stars. Somewhere out there, thousands of young civilizations were waiting to learn, not to be given answers, but to be inspired to find their own. The real point of no return had been the moment humanity chose to remain humble even after gaining incredible power. And that choice had just saved the galaxy. That was the end of Elon Musk. We have weeks before point of no return. A Renry through humanity's greatest test and ultimate triumph through compassion and humility. I'm curious, where are you listening from today? Drop a comment and let me know what part of the world you're in. It's amazing to connect with viewers from all corners of our beautiful planet. If this tale of courage, cooperation, and cosmic wisdom resonated with you, please hit that like button. Your support helps these meaningful narratives reach more people who need to hear messages of hope and unity. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel for much more fascinating content like this. We explore the biggest questions about humanity's future, the power of working together, and what it truly means to grow as a species. Most importantly, please share this video with your friends and family. In a world that often feels divided, we need to spread kindness and awareness about our shared responsibility to each other and our planet. Every share helps build the kind of global consciousness that could make the difference in our real future. Together, we can choose compassion over fear, cooperation over conflict, and wisdom over pride. Thank you for joining this incredible journey. Until next time, keep looking up at the stars and remember, the greatest adventures happen when we help each other reach them. See you in the next video.